Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Creative Writer Podcast by Seni Laakso, and that's me. Today we are going to talk about editing, just a little bit, like this is kind of like a line editing tip for you, which you should. Let's say you are hiring an editor, which you should, I think, but let's not go into that conversation. I think there's been plenty of talk about that, and we can talk about that elsewhere if you want to. But what I mean is, you should, before hiring an editor, do your own line editing, your own copy editing, because then your line and copy editor will be able to, um, do even better job than they would otherwise. The cleaner your manuscript already is, the better, the editor will be, able to work on the manuscript and so on. But yeah, all my information is once again in the episode description, so subscribe to my mailing list, follow me on social media, and follow the podcast, and so on. But yeah, and also check out my website, especially if my book is already out, because I'm not entirely sure when it's going to be out at the time of filming this, because I'm filming this so much prior to the time when you are finally going to see this. So, it's probably a couple of months from now when you are going to see this episode. So, yeah. But yeah, so a little line editing tip. When you are going through your manuscript, and you should go through your manuscript line by line, and see, if anything sounds funny. A great tip for that, by the way, this is just a bonus tip for this episode. But if you're using Microsoft Word, there's this like feature called Read Aloud. Use that. It's wonderful. I especially I think there's like 3 different voices, at least on my Microsoft Word. There's 3 different voices. There's I don't know, I don't remember what the man's name is. I can't remember that, but I didn't like his voice that much. It was boring, so I didn't use that. Then there's, I believe, Hazel, but I liked Susan the best, and I used Speed, which is just a little bit over midway, so a little bit faster than the midway point. But I think it may, all this, how this speech works and so on, may depend on what, what year, what Microsoft Word you have, because there's differences depending on when you bought it and so on. But yeah, definitely use that if you have that tool, because it's amazing. And when it's read out aloud for you, your book, you tend to, notice more than you would if you are reading it through in your mind. One thing you could also do if you don't have this tool is read it aloud yourself. But by the end of your manuscript, especially if it's a long one, like mine is when I read it through, I think it was about 120,000 words. So yeah, my throat was sore and my voice was basically gone by the time I finished reading it aloud. I used 2 days only to read it aloud. Don't do that. Don't wreck your voice by doing that. So take your time if you read it aloud yourself. But then the actual point of this episode, this is supposed to be a short one, but I hope that tip helped you out or helps you out in the future. So, line editing. When you're going through it, I feel like a lot of, especially new authors, do a lot of repetition. At least that's what I have done, and I've heard many authors say that they have, they tend to write repetitively when they are starting out. And that's usually because we authors or writers don't realize that the reader is smarter than we think. Your reader is smarter than he or she or they are, in your mind. They are going to get what you mean. And if you're not sure, ask beta readers, ask alpha readers, and so on. They're going to tell you, use beta readers to if you are not sure, if you are over-explaining something, or if you are repeating something too much, or so on. Ask your beta readers. They will tell you. I'm sure they will. Especially if you ask them directly, is there too much repetition? Or have you noticed spots where there's repetition, and what are those? And, so on. But yeah, then when you're going through it, ask yourself, is my text, my story, and what I'm saying here, is it going to be more clear and is it going to be stronger without this sentence or without this word? Because it might be. You may be over explaining something, or you may be, there may be repetition in your, story too. And those are some things that especially new authors, but even more experienced ones, should look out for. Repetition is actually quite common, especially, like I already said, with new authors, new writers. So yeah, look into that. And probably I've already published an episode which is probably called something like Learn from Feedback or something. You should also check that out. There's more about, better readers and everything over there. So yeah, definitely go check that out. It should be out before this one. It's already filmed and everything. So yeah, definitely go check that out. But then, yeah, when you're going through your line edits, keep asking yourself, would this be stronger without this word, without this sentence, or without this phrase? Or, keep repeating that in your head and don't write it down. And don't repeat anything on paper in your book, but keep repeating that in your head instead of repeating something on the page. Yeah, that's my little tip. This ended up being almost 7-minute tip. But actually there were more tips than I was planning to have here. So yeah, I hope you learned something from this episode. I hope this was useful. Good luck with editing your novel, whether it's right now or in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Check out all my information once again in the episode description, and subscribe to my mailing list and follow me on social media and follow the podcast and so on. And I hope I will see you in the next episode. Thank you again. Happy writing and goodbye, creatives.